What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about SoFi. More specifically, this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in SoFi, what the data points are saying, and where I see things going, at least in the short term. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So starting off, based on Friday, it did go up 1.5%. A lot of volatility, so $8.93 was a high, $8.72 was a low. A good amount of volume, not necessarily the best, but it was a Friday. So 17.73 million shares being traded, 22.9 is the average. And I'm sure today a lot of people are sad with it being Monday and a lot of people wanting the market to be open, but because of it being a holiday, it's a little bit more of a shorter week. But I want to give you an overview of what to expect this week. So when it comes down to it, nothing really crazy as far as companies unveiling their earnings. But the only one that potentially might cause a little bit more of a ripple would be C3 AI, because of course the whole AI sector is still very high. A lot of people are still saying that it's a bubble essentially, and with SoFi being, for the most part, being a fintech which is associated to AI, definitely it goes hand in hand a little bit. So C3 AI, you'll really want to watch that earnings. But other than that, coming from a broader standpoint, there is no data points coming out this week that could cause any disruptions in the broader market. So this week is very important to look at a lot of the data points. And with the data points, things are looking very good. So looking on the actual chart, like I've been mentioning, it is in the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, and it did attempt to actually break above this 50-day moving average, but generally in SoFi's case, that 50-day moving average is a very big pivot point. So you'll really want to watch that. So around the $8.93 mark, that's kind of the big point to watch for. As far as some other additional data points, looking at some of the fib levels, with it being at $8.79, it is currently between this S1 and this pivot. So $9.22 as well is a very strong resistance. So $8.90 ish, and then this 9.22 is 2 points that you want to watch for, and then vice versa, $7.99 is that next big support. So this is kind of vast right here and very wide, so you have to anticipate that there's going to be a lot of volatility. As well, at the same time, looking on options, this is very bullish. So based on Friday, $3.22 million in calls being purchased versus 913,000 in puts. So based on this information, people are clearly anticipating for SoFi to trend up, which clearly is also based on the technicals as well. That's kind of motivating a lot of these calls to be purchased. If you are optimistic though, looking at this grid view of all the calls, which it does show all the expiry dates, strike prices, everything, it is anticipated to be north between around the 9 to 950 by the end of next week, which in reality is kind of good. And you also have to factor in that based on this upcoming Friday, there's currently 15,000 options sitting at that $9 strike price. So if it can close above that $9 by September the 8th, then that means that a lot of market makers will have to cover those positions. So this is getting very interesting with SoFi. So it could have a lot of positive momentum as a result of that. But like I've always said in the past, when it comes down to options activity, both this and this, it is just merely a sentiment. It does not move the stock price. So once again, just be aware of that. As far as big money getting in, it wasn't necessarily the case on Friday. So a lot of sells such as this, so the side, so the bid and the ask. So anything that does state a bid was essentially a sell, and there was some pretty big ones, so 3.94 million, 1.38, and 1.15 million. But when it comes down to it, just the frequency was not necessarily there. And as you can tell with previous days, like for instance, on the Thursday, this was just nothing but buys from institutions and some fairly large ones as well. So 19.5 million, 1.1, 3.15 million. So a lot of big money was buying on Thursday. Whereas on Friday, clearly not so much. And I think that also matches with the lower volume as well. So obviously significantly lower than the average. But when it comes down to the dark pool, this was very popular based on Friday, no different than any other day. So these are all the transactions. Only one fairly large one, so 1.48 million. This, unfortunately, and the dark pool is linked to shorting very frequently. In fact, they'll give you an overview of what that is. So based on what shorts are doing, especially going into next week, short score is currently 56, utilization is 24.16, and as I've always said in the past, I'm just bringing this up merely as a sentiment and as a benchmark. I'm not saying that SoFi is going to have a squeeze, so kind of just be aware of that. 12.84% of the free float's being shorted. 103.51 million shares overall are being shorted. So cost to borrow is just complete pennies. So the cost to borrow average is 1.06. Obviously the market is not open, so it doesn't have any of the actual new numbers right here. So once again, it's still relatively high. I do feel that by at least mid to late September, that the short interest will probably go back down to 10%. That's just my own opinion, because I do feel that the broader market might actually continue to expand despite the Fed meeting on the 20th. That might raise it another 25 basis points, but I do feel just generally a lot of optimism is starting to come out in the market. So SoFi is going to benefit pretty significantly based on all that. And when it comes down to it, looks like SoFi is also going to be participating, I think, on the 6th at the Goldman Sachs 𝗪𝗓𝗡𝗂, if I'm saying that right, technology conference. So looks like Anthony is going to be having another fireside chat at 1:05. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I'll try to live stream that as well if anyone is interested. If you are interested, let me know in the comments below. But generally, I think any of these fireside chats that Anthony does participate in cause the stock price to go up. But as I always say, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. And when it comes down to it, I'll just give you a quick overview of some of the latest analyst ratings. So some of the latest ratings, as you can see here, last was done 13 days ago by JP Morgan, Reginald Smith, $10 price target. And then prior to that was Kevin Barker with Piper Sandler and $9 target. So once again, this is just something that I haven't really brought up in last couple of videos. And one final thing, Morningstar did update their fair market estimate for SoFi, and it does have it at $14.50. So once again, if you kind of factor that in, SoFi is at a pretty significant discount. So as far as that, I do feel that there's going to be a lot more upside potential with SoFi based on just the options activity, shorts, and as well the technicals. So kind of a trifecta component going into next week. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. And actually, yes, about this fireside chat, this definitely will help the stock price as well. So I think that in reality, SoFi can easily trend up. Whether it reaches new highs above this 11 something, I don't feel that is justified, my own opinion. So I do feel most likely between the 9 to 950, pretty much what the options activity is signaling is more realistic. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give yourself a shout out if you have been buying, selling, holding, what you have been doing with SoFi in the comments. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing, if you do like my channel and want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said though, I appreciate you all watching, and let's eventually make a lot of money on SoFi.